big story. And please, a warm welcome for him for coming out this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We begin with personal leadership. And the big challenge, as mentioned before, is salesperson to sales leader. What got you to be selected to be a leader is not what you need to do now that you are the leader. But it's very hard as a salesperson to switch gears and go from being the salesperson to one responsible for other salespeople. The things that worked for you may not work for others. And so as you see here, the needing to be liked, salespeople basically feed off the energy of others for the greater part. They're usually extroverts or driver types normally. And they want to get that relationship going. But when you're a colleague and then you become the boss, it's not about being liked anymore. It's about being respected because you have a different role to play. But it's not so easy to just switch that and say, okay, now I'm the lead, I'm going to be respected, I don't need to be liked. You're still the same salesperson. You want to be liked. And we look here, we look, say, recognition. Salespeople motivated by money, but they are thriving on recognition. That's why they love sales contests. When we do sales training, there's one part we get to the sales contest. Every person who's in that course, who's a salesperson, wants to win the competition. It's amazing how competitive they are. So they want to be recognized. The problem is with a lot of leadership, not just sales leadership, there's very little recognition actually taking place. So as a leader, you might have been very driven and enjoyed to get recognition, but as a leader, you've got to remember you've got to give that out now. In fact, you've got to give out a lot more than you think from your point of view is necessary. Because again, what motivated you may not necessarily motivate the people who are responsible to you. And again, making people happy. You try to be friendly with your colleagues, customers. That's your natural personality. You're a people person usually. But as a leader, you've got to hold people accountable. It's not about are you happy, it's about are you actually producing the things you need to produce for the company. So the viewpoint is a little bit different. And then finally, salespeople hate doing CRM. We're having a discussion earlier about customer relationship management systems. They hate it because it takes them away from the customer. And often what drives salespeople are those human relationships. But then you become the manager, and your customer time, usually depending on the size of your organization, can become quite short. So a lot of things that gave you pleasure are now replaced by paperwork. And so that's a big challenge for salespeople. Now this very simple definition of sales leadership. The critical words in this sentence are willing cooperation. And everyone has received a copy of the Golden Book from Dale Carnegie, and there are 30 human relations principles and 30 stress management principles in this book. And how to get willing cooperation is in that first 30 of human relations principles. You really want people themselves to be suggesting ideas, stepping up, volunteering to lead projects, taking initiative, coming up with innovative ideas. We always have this dilemma between focus on the people and then the process. As I said before, the administrative burden, the recording burden, the process we need to make sure the system is capturing what's happening from a compliance point of view, what's happening from a sales point of view, what's happening about the customer, getting that into the system. That takes time. Salespeople like to be with people. That's why they're salespeople. They don't want to be with administrivia. They avoid that. But as a sales leader, you have to balance that out. If you just go work with the people all the time and then you don't take the process into consideration, that's when you're going to have problems later on. Where's the information? Is it correct? Is there an issue around defects? Is there a quality issue? The other part we see here is between doing it and leading. And this is very hard to turn this off, and I'll talk about this in a minute. You have been doing, and now you've got to do through others. But the others may not be as smart as you, may not be as motivated as you, may not have as much experience as you, may not be as willing as you are. But that's what you've got to work with. So your own time, how you spend it, is very critical. If you go out and do the sales, that's great, but you're not developing the team. That's not so great. So as a sales leader, you're constant tension between these competing aspects of the job. Sales leadership, your job, you're responsible, you're accountable for the sales results of the organization. But just that you could go out and do a lot of selling and achieve the results, but it's not sustainable. And that's not your job as well. Your job is to get results through people. You've got to build people. Year one, freshly minted new sales leader, well, you still got your old clients, and you still got all that time, and you're very happy doing what you're doing before, and you've got a few administrative tasks as well and a couple of people to look after, but you really haven't changed what you do, so you're still selling, and you're producing a lot of the results. And that works. In year one, they look at you and they say, you know, Gary, we've promoted you to sales leader, you're doing a fantastic job, look at these results, great. Year one, you're there. But years 2 and 3, things start to go wrong. The results don't come because you have not built the people. And by the way, the targets keep moving up. So what you can physically do yourself is limited, and suddenly there's this gap opens up between you can do as much as you like, but you're not spending your time developing your people to get that leverage, and then goal and achievement starts to broaden out. So as a sales leader, you've got to be very, very disciplined about where the time is spent in building your people to get leverage rather than you being the one who carries it. We've got to keep this trap in mind as we're guiding sales leaders into the job. And you see vision at the top there. It's actually a tower that goes up, but we actually start from vision and think, well, how do we get to that point? And vision is not some imaginary, wonderful magic thing. It's a very simple thing. It's where are we going? Where do we want to be? That's it. Now, if your team in any leadership position don't know that, well, it's very hard to get there if you don't know where you're going. And you as a leader need to make that very clear. The problem is, why would they care? Where's the trust factor here? If you haven't built the trust with the team, why do they care what the vision is? There's no ownership for them. And then part of that, as we see here, is the trust is maybe not built because the relationship isn't developed. A relationship to build trust, to get them to buy into your vision, requires time. And if you don't devote that time, it doesn't happen. And then, of course, communication, and we've got formal and informal. The formal part is quite easy. Performance review, 6 monthly, weekly meetings, very formal, very easy. Those are easy parts of communication. It's the informal parts. And it's not that people can't do it, it's a matter of the time. Do you have lunch by yourself and read the paper or read your magazines or catch up on the American Chamber Journal or whatever it is you're reading? Or do you spend time having lunch with your team?